Much has been made of the upcoming launch of Ark Survival Ascended, but there have been so many different configurations, packages, and info drops that I wanted to use today's video to cut through all that noise and simplify it a bit, and present my top items Ark Survival Ascended will introduce to Ark, along with a few items you need to watch out for. Welcome back to the channel, it's LukeTheDuke, and I appreciate you sticking around. If you haven't done so already, hit that sub button, it's free and it really helps out the channel. While you're at it, ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. Let's get this one started. First off, let's talk about Unreal Engine 5 and what it could mean to Ark, because Survival Evolved is definitely showing its age in terms of visuals, coding, and infrastructure. Now, the most obvious upgrade to ASA will of course be the graphics, as it should visually look like a next-gen product thanks to making use of Unreal Engine 5. Being able to capitalize on technology like Nanite to render pixel scale detail and high object counts, Lumen for fully dynamic global lighting and reflections, along with RTX direct illumination for physically accurate rendering of light. Other enhancements include dynamic water for items like ripples caused by footsteps or a wake by a moving creature, and interactive foliage for real-looking collisions with items like grass or leaves. Just based alone on the capabilities of Unreal Engine 5, there's no doubt that Ark Survival Ascended could be a stunning game to behold. Sticking with that UE5 engine upgrade, and it could be used for much more than just a brand new coat of paint. Switching over to UE5 should show immediate performance gains, and will help with things like reducing the bloat on the game file sizes alone. Last time I checked, Ark Survival Evolved, including all the DLCs, is weighing in at a lofty 275 gigs of memory space, not including updates and/or mods, and UE5 should be able to compress that down to a more manageable figure. Other increases to performance will come with instanced rendering, threaded server networking, and native physics engine changes. Okay, dropping all the technical jargon, UE5 should allow Ark Survival Ascended to not only look better, but perform smoothly, especially when there's a ton of action happening on screen. When the coding of a game has obvious gaps, it's old and has been stretched to its limits, players will find a way through those gaps and learn to gain an advantage. And Ark has shown that it has a consistent problem with cheaters. Pretty much gone are the days of server DDoS attacks, and I'm going to resist the urge to mention a certain tribe right here, but most unofficial servers host their own protections against this method. Ark has also seen more than its fair share of players bending the rules, duping, meshing, accusations flying around concerning aimbots, and much, much more. Ensuring an even playing field for every player should be a studio's top priority when it comes to online multiplayer, and with the launch of Ark Survival Ascended, cross-platform anti-cheat has been announced. And speaking of cross-platform, Ark Survival Ascended will introduce something the community has always highly requested: cross-platform multiplayer. And this will also include cross-platform accounts, so no matter what platform you start your journey on, you'll be able to access that exact account, including your character, dinos, and items on a completely different platform. It's your choice. Cross-platform chat and cross-progression will also be installed into the game, allowing for freedom to play the game where you want without having to create a totally new character. Yesterday you began your adventures on PC, but today you want to chill out on the couch with your console? This will be possible thanks to the new cross-platform additions. Other quality of life features will range from an updated minimap to snap fixes while building, and much needed balance passes, as Ark has been plagued by a steady increase in power creep with each new creature and map that has been added to the game. And finally, the addition of new content. Now at this point, it has been teased that new canonical DLC will indeed be coming to Ark Survival Ascended, because, you know, remastering or rebuilding, whatever you choose to call it, a game is all fine and dandy, but introducing new content is what players are always expecting. Originally, it was thought there might be 2 new DLCs to be dropped for Ark Survival Ascended, but that has since been scaled back. Not much is known about the basis for this new DLC, but Studio Wildcard has publicly stated that it will include 4 new creatures to the game. Theories have placed the setting for this new DLC on Arat Prime, as it follows the conclusion of the storyline of Genesis Part 2 prior to our arrival at Planet Arat. By the way, I'd like to know what your theories are as to the new setting for this canon DLC. Let me know in the comment section below.
And now for something completely different.
Since the initial announcements of a remastered UE5 Ark that would be made free to the public, we've seen 3 more bundle changes, along with delays, content removal, and pricing changes. And players are naturally skeptical when it comes to any news coming out of Studio Wildcard and Snail Games. They've been burned before, and so here are some items to be wary of when it comes to Ark Survival Ascended, starting off with the announcement that ASA will not fully launch in October, but instead enter into early access, with just the island and no server transfers. We've seen public statements from the team at Studio Wildcard that they are indeed struggling with this conversion over to Unreal Engine 5.2, and I can relate, but taking a near 8-year-old game, remastering it, charging a decent chunk of change for the new version, and then launching it back into early access, a status that is, kind of reserved for alphas and startups, is truly baffling, and more so, concerning. While in early access, Wildcard could choose to not release content, delay or cancel promised features, and even just pull the plug outright on Ark Survival Ascended to shift their attentions over to Ark 2. Early access gives them a high level of protection, and there still has not been a statement made concerning the exact rationale as to why they are choosing this EA path. Next up is the addition of cross-platform modding, and I purposely left it out of the positives for ASA, although at face value, this announcement alone is a resounding W for fans of Ark. Now, the major drawback to the new modding platform is who will be administering and maintaining that mod system, that being Overwolf. Now, I've covered this group in a previous Ark upload, and I also have first-hand experience at using their products, and to be honest, it's something that Ark players really don't want installed on their systems, especially when mod.io, who was said to be handling the mod duties for Ark 2, is a much better option. It has been confirmed that premium mods will not be available at the launch of Ark Survival Ascended, and although I have personally not seen it, the word going around the community is that some mods, possibly free mods, will indeed be available at launch, and we've also seen Wildcard advertising for mod creation jobs as well as sponsored mods in their Community Crunch weekly posts. Either way, the downside of using Overwolf versus mods day one and for consoles is just too great a negative to overlook. Moving on, and the sunsetting of features is never a popular topic, but when ASA launches, anyone that has spent the bulk of their time on official servers will lose that progress, with only single-player file saves and unofficial ASE servers staying intact. Now, some players have sunk huge amounts of time into official gameplay, even owning multiple copies of Ark Survival Evolved so that the whole family can play along at once. And losing that progress, even when this is the minority of Ark players, is still a huge downside to ASA's launch. Add on the fact that PS4 owners will not be included into ASA due to system limitations, and players that want to enjoy Ark the way they choose to play will be left in the cold. This argument happens to cut both ways, as for Ark Survival Ascended to be born, it has to expand, and apparently could not mature due to the older console limitations. But anytime even a handful of players are cut out, that's never a good thing. And finally, we must consider the overall management of Ark, and even though Studio Wildcard may have the best of intentions with ASA, the upper level decisions are still being handed down by Snail Games, a company that has time and time again shown the smallest regard for truth, fairness, or basic decency when it comes to its player base. When Snail is involved, anything could happen at any time, as they chase the latest money printing fad and then abandon it the very millisecond it begins to struggle. Snail has also been linked to detrimental effects on player engagement, engaging in twisted games of admin server abuse, especially in the PvP arena. Why they choose to entertain these fads when they own one of the most popular and successful survival games currently offered is beyond me. Now, I'm not going to turn this into what Ark could be if allowed to be rant, but if the chains and restraints were ever removed by Snail, Ark could be allowed to exceed even its present levels of success. But as always, these are just my opinions, and I of course welcome your feedback when it comes to the upcoming launch of Ark Survival Ascended. Make sure to hit subscribe to receive all my latest Ark content and ring the notifications bell to receive those upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. All my social links can be found in the video description. Shout out to the over 125,000 of you that have already hit subscribe, and a huge thanks to my patrons over on Patreon. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.